does e-paper have a space in higher ed?
Am I really going to take up that budget in higher ed where we never have enough resources to ever get every classroom done, Aaron? Am I going to take from that for this experiment? Me personally, nah.
Can you sell advertising on the bottom of it?
I probably could, but then call me Zuckerberg. I feel icky. Even in soccer, they don't do statics anymore. They've like materially changed all of those little triangle boards around the field to like LED displays or like LED wall tech, so they could do I'm not too sure how many advertisers want static. My God, Epson, yeah. I'm a Epson shill now. This is crazy. Somebody needs to sponsor me. Fine.
On this episode, we discuss e-paper, training, and safety. All that and more on EdTech. EdTech episode 141, Clickbait 2.0. Hello, AV friends, and welcome to another episode of EdTech. As always, we have our panel of awesome higher ed AV professionals. Ernie Bailey. Hey, Ernie.
Hello, Aaron. Good to be back.
And Rob Rasberry.
Hey, Aaron, always glad to be here. Looks like temperature's warming up, hopefully. So looking forward to this wonderful spring.
I know, right? It almost seems like Mother Nature's trying to skip spring and jump right into summer here.
Yep.
And of course, I cannot forget Lisle Waldron.
Oh, it's okay to be forgotten. Coming from the wondrous islands of Trinidad and Tobago, where it's always summer and spring combined. Envy me, don't you?
Since we don't have a special guest this week, for this episode, we're going to jump right into the stories. So this first article comes from AV Buyers Club. Samsung introduces compact color e-paper display for flexible, low power signage. This one was written by Gary Kay. So I know we've touched on sort of some of the e-paper stuff earlier, but this one's a little intriguing since we're getting it in kind of a different size than we've discussed previously. Does this have any? Does e-paper have a space in higher ed?
I think it does, Aaron. What we're looking at is a way to put like a QR code on the wall of a classroom or meeting space for students to get whatever information they may need, whether it's a link to assisted listening or special information coming up. While it's still a ways from what I would call affordable, it's coming down in price. It's a decent size, very low power, and self-powered, so you can put it anywhere. I think it's a great idea, something we've actually been looking at over the last couple of weeks. So I was excited to see this article. The size, this is roughly 8 by 12, 13-inch diagonal. So basically the size of a piece of paper. You just, put wherever you need to. The other one, their larger version is, I guess, elongated. It's not the same ratio at all, so it's a much different format. But I think it's still a neat product and something that, yes, we can use in education. I think if they get to like a true poster size, replacing posters about upcoming events or things, something maybe a little bit more permanent than what you want on digital signage. To keep people, so it catches everyone's attention. You don't miss it because you weren't there at the right time. But at the same time, it's still changeable. Like I said, I think if we were looking at similar pricing to these two units, a little bit bigger package, it could pay for itself in just printing cost very rapidly.
Yeah, I can almost see it be, the initial installation and cost of it. It'd be a lot. It'd be a big investment up front. But I think like in the end, it will, with proper use, I think definitely it could be a very interesting solution especially for those areas where students tend to hang signs or bulletin boards and things like that, and just kind of like a little bit of a cleaner look, and something that maybe has a little more permanent feel, but still can change.
Yeah, I would like to see the durability of these, and what's going to happen when someone bumps it with their backpack or goes up with a Sharpie, something like that.
Oh, I have thoughts. Rob, I am so waiting for you to go, Rob, because I have thoughts. I think that's gonna go down, Aaron. Like, if this is a bad idea. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But Rob, would you like to, Rob?
Oh no, by all means.
Here we go again. That was a bad idea. So this is the first that I think what Eunice just said is wondrous. And I have a friend down here in Trinidad who says, Lisle, don't try to put sense in something that has no sense or nonsense. There are times in the AV world when I'm very afraid that we've just got caught in a buy this to make it into something for us trap. When this article came across my desk, yes, obviously static images, especially because we understand burn-in on, standard LEDs and whatnot. Okay, great. And I think whenever I get a product that the use case is so specific, like when you just laid out a really specific use case, I get concerned. Because let's look at the analog, figuratively and literally. A student wants to print out something, the school wants to do some QR codes. And we used to have print people who would print signs and okay, Lisle, but signs are not cool, even though they're static. And what about the environment? Okay, well, what about the environment if we're going to be churning out this bits of plastic and circuit boards and chips in our middle of an AI, shortage of every resource in the world segment? So where is this in our top tier of things in higher ed that I need and want? And I get for our wondrous worldwide audience that my use case is different because I've got no money and we're broke. But I would love a more affordable, series of panels, maybe, or more durable panels, or maybe we could figure out how to, reduce the screen burn-in. But this very bespoke, very small, but kind of not small item, which could be equivalent to printing out, I don't know, 8.5 by 11 page with a big QR code on it, or that very cool thing the kids used to do, because I don't know what they do now because I have grays in my beard, where they would print something with tags at the end and you cut it up and you kind of rip one off because you got the number, or however else they want to do it. I can't see materially, Rob, this grand transition that this is going to take me away from. It's more environmentally friendly. Yes, I think Ernie's 100% right. We can make financial sense. We can. But if I have a budget, which is usually fixed, am I really going to take up that budget in higher ed where we never have enough resources to ever get every classroom done, Aaron? Am I going to take from that for this experiment? Me personally, nah. Nothing burger for me. Thumbs down.
Can you sell advertising on the bottom of it?
I probably could, but then call me Zuckerberg. I feel icky. Do we want static ads? And if it was the case, for the people who watch soccer, fun fact, even though I'm a gentleman of the world, I don't watch football, but I'll say soccer for American audience. I'm an NFL guy. I need to wean myself of it. But even in soccer, they don't do statics anymore. They've materially changed all of those little triangle boards around the field to LED displays or LED wall tech. So they could do I'm not too sure how many advertisers want static. And if they did, then why can't we just print it? My God, Epson, yeah. I'm a Epson shill now. This is crazy. Somebody needs to sponsor me. Fine. Rob, what do you think?
I'm sort of in the middle on this, because on one hand, I like the idea of the thin paper. I like the idea of the supposed sustainability. The use case is somewhat limited. I think, Ernie, like you said, maybe some basic signage or something. Or can they make it in a smaller form and make it that schedule on the outside of a classroom, put it, sort of out of reach? Maybe that's a good place or good use for it. So I think there's pros and cons to this, but like you said, if you're limited in the budget, like most of us are, it's sort of hard to do this. I think it's cool that, it's color, it's The idea of it is wonderful. I think they just need to execute it and make it more affordable
Yeah.
for us. And so I'm with you. So could I use this in my environment? Yes. Can I afford it? No.
Yeah.
And is it in the top 10 of what we need? No, but would be nice.
It's something to watch. And like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not ready to deploy it yet either, budget wise, but I've got a use case if it becomes affordable, or if they give me some demos of it, see how it works and what people think about it. But no, I'm not going to spend $700 for a piece of paper.
I think, Aaron, this is a good litmus test. When you read about the product, if I squint, that's like me saying blink twice. And blink good. And if I tilt my head sideways, I go, it's because I can't see it. I think I could see it. We have a lot of ifs. If the price is right, if it's durable, if the backpack hits it. I think we need to adopt a podcast rule. If we have more than 6 ifs, then no. I think once we get to 6 ifs, we are trying too hard to make it make sense. I don't know. Maybe.
I think we know how we feel about this one. So let's go on to this second piece. This one was on AVNation.tv. Legrand AV Pro Training returns to InfoComm 2026 with full day of AV education. So this sounds wonderful. So they're planning on a full day of education with a couple different areas of their sessions with topics like AI and AV and AV over IP, accessibility, cloud-based device management, DV LED deployment. What training are we looking for at a show like InfoComm or even at a regional event? Like, these are great topics, but is this really what does higher ed want?
I would say all. I think,
yes,
for me, one of the things that we see, and we see this in the HETMA community, there's so many questions, so many things to be asked. Sometimes we forget that we all share similar problems. They may have different forms or fit. And that is where the experience of a community like a HETMA, we get together. You could speak to someone who has done it, Ernie and his time, and, you can reach out Rob and that kind of stuff. But I think if we're being honest as AV professionals, we've come a long way with Avixa, the helm as well, with, communities like HETMA. But there are still many of us who operate from a space of ignorance in the dictionary definition of the word. We're still mixing our witches' cauldron because AV is spooky. And we've never really materialized into how IT guys get to do it, Cisco stacks, and we don't have some of those standards. Of course, Whisper, HETMA's working on some of those things. So in any space, I think that we can double or triple down on training and really make people more and more aware that there is a framework of operation. There is a way to do it, especially for manufacturers. I think when I saw this, what immediately struck me was not just the higher ed side of it, Aaron, was the reality that, lest you forget, Legrand has, over the past few years, bought a ton of companies and folded them in. So they're no longer just build furniture and whatever they were company. They now have it all, cameras, AV over IP, this, that, the third. So it is incumbent on them, if they would like to see their products deployed well, not get a bad reputation. So Erin, buys some Legrand, downstream products, Vadio or whatever, and she does not use them properly. And now she goes, all those Vadio cameras, they're totally horrible. So I think it's incumbent on them. And I think once we have a space where we're given in higher ed more opportunity to formalize, to get structures in place, and to understand the broader sense of what EV is, could never be a bad thing.
I may sound like a big Legrand fan because I am. And they are a very interesting group. And Lisle, like you said, they're in an interesting space where they're not dealing with one manufacturer. They're representing and a whole bunch of different products. And so they're almost like an integrator that doesn't do the install, but promotes the product. And what's amazing about them, and we have had them come on campus to do lunch and learns and mini Legrand days and talked about AVIP and their devices. But it's like, even if it's their device, it has relevance overall to the general. So AVIP, you learn some things. They have a certain way that they do it with theirs, but you get an idea of how it's done. And they have a wonderful, amount of manufacturers under their umbrella. And this is where you go to those regional kind of events that have the trainings and the skills that we want to find out, the Dante, the AVIP, different types of integration. Simco is another company that does that kind of stuff. They have multiple products, and you get a wide view of what's happening. But what's interesting about Legrand is they have backed up and helped us. Like, we bought Vadio products. We had some issues. They went right to Vadio. They acted as the middle person, got in there, got things fixed. It was almost like having, how can I put this, a middle advocate on your side. And so I think that, obviously they're trying to sell more product, bring more people into it. But this is the kind of thing where it brings people together. They teach them relevant skills. Aaron, there's so much stuff that we want to learn in higher ed. And I don't know, how HETMA, how they deal with Legrand. I'm not sure, because they have all these different products. But I know that having an interesting middle person helps, and especially they have been attentive. They have responded to customer service. They've been invested. And I think it's a great thing that, when you have all these different manufacturers, you can teach these different types of sessions that we can all learn from. But it's not just higher education, it's government, it's corporate, that kind of thing. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree. I've got both pros and cons on this. Back when InfoComm was a much smaller event, maybe even before it was called InfoComm, it was great to do something like this, but they used to do it like on Wednesday or Thursday during the show. Now you can't do that and still, as big as the show floor is, and still see everything you need to see.
Right.
So I like the fact they've moved it to Tuesday, except we've got something else going on Tuesday. So I love Legrand's education, and they're easy to work with. I've been actually working with our Legrand rep, and we buy the same batch of cables for every one of our installs, a bunch of patch cables and different links and connectors, that they sell all of those. So what they're doing is they're developing a SKU that is my SKU. So I can just tell any of my partners, my vendors that I want to deal with, I need a Legrand SKU number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I get a box that's got all of my cables in it. I don't have to say I need 17 of this cable, 12 of this one, and 100 of these connectors and 25 of these. No, I give them one number, and I'm going to get that box, and it's going to be right in the middle of all my install stuff. They're working to, we do the same thing with racks, and we're working right now on how to get a rack that maybe, we're considering even having them put the shelves in the right places, put the middle of the rack pieces, rack links, power supplies right where we want them. So we come in and we can snap it together real fast and speed up our installation. And every one of them will look just the same. So, I mean, they're great to work with. They're easy to work with. Their training is exceptional, and it's free. All their online stuff is available. So I would, like I said, I like it. I just, I can't give up a day of either InfoComm show floor or HETMA Summit.
Say it loud and proud, honey. It's HETMA Day. Again, outside of that, yes. I think I want to add one wrinkle to this, Aaron. And I'm sure you didn't think we get this much from this topic. But I think if I piggyback on where I see HETMA's lunch and learns and roadshows, I think one of the things that manufacturers may wish to do is partner in deeper ways with higher education institutions. So this is something that's been on my mind. This is the problem when I go to school. So years ago, I did this bloody MBA. So here's how I think about this. I think a Legrand can partner with Rob's school and make them the center for Legrand training in that region or that node. In so doing, Rob and his team are going to always be the cutting edge. And again, going back to that point I made before, they're going to be great representatives of product. But in Rob's case, it's almost like having infinite support. Of course, in this day and age, you have to work out, the contracts and the money and whatnot. But at a minimum, at a good, glorious minimum, Legrand would know that this school is dealing with this or that school is dealing with that in whatever regions, or a Crestron or a Extron or whomsoever. I think in this world where we're seeing some of these education budgets in our manufacturer partners falling a little bit because of all of the, money conflicts, these conflicts, less and whatnot, partnering or outsourcing in this case to us, where literally is what we do, education, would be mutually beneficial to the nth degree. So I mean, just coming back to that central core of, is this training great? Outside of the fact that it's on HETMA Day, yes. Because I was kind of disappointed because I would have loved to do this. But so should Harmon, because they have their suite, a Crestron's big enough as well and whatnot. Do we have to have a day for everyone? No, but, maybe Ernie School is a Crestron shop or a QSIS shop. And they've been, great representatives of it. Well, why not once every quarter or round robin with him and a couple other schools get this thing done, So I think it's great. I think we need more of it. I think wherever a school could partner from it, not just for monetary gain, but for the structural and the knowledge, and the knowledge gain, I think we need more. And of course, let's not keep the 800-pound gorilla hidden. We all need RUs because we play the renewal units game. Mm-hmm. So the more renewal units I can get that I can actually use when I'm thinking about design, or if I'm thinking about some new product that I'm not aware of, it comes to me, it helps. So yeah, more power to Legrand, and I wish it was not on HETMA Day. Come on, Legrand, you have to figure out HETMA Day next time.
Right. Just saying. Yeah, I appreciate you all bringing up the timing conflict with the education summit. But one of the things though that I did notice that they have one of the sessions, like I love the technical things, the ones that are talking about a specific technology. But the one that really stood out to me was learning how to put together a good scope of work. I think that those are the kind of skills that we tend to not focus on because we want to take care of the technology and stay up to date on all of those things. But then there's the other skills that we kind of let fall to the side. Mm-hmm. Because they're not the things we're doing day to day. We're not having to put together a scope of work, and we're not project managing all the time necessarily, but it's such a good skill to have.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and those I think I'm trying to think of other examples of things like that would be great for us to. You're just putting together like a standard operating procedures, mm-hmm. like a good way mm-hmm. to put those together, or even do like a SWOT analysis, or, it's kind of all of those sort of like businessy things that we tend to not really think about, but probably do have some kind of value, and maybe not to every technician out there, but all right. Well, let's move to the next piece. This one is from AV Magazine on avinteractive.com, written by Guy Campos. Goodbye to AV over IP 1.0. The goalposts have moved. So are we ready? Have we moved on to AV over IP 2.0?
Next subject.
Silence touches my heart warmly. For anybody who was not watching the video and listening to the audio, this is where I was covering my face and shaking my head. If I have ever read clickbait, this was it, Eric. I was low-key mad. I'm like, what? Wait, I missed this? When did I miss this? What is happening? And I go, oh, you mean what happened was in the first go-around, we adopted AV over IP. We did not care about the network or security protocols because we just needed to get it to work. As AV people do, sometimes we will just ask for forgiveness, okay? We need to get this thing done. We'll figure it out as it goes. No, we're all a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
I can email a HETMA colleague, Ernie and I can talk on a phone call, and he goes, by the way, Lisle, did you turn on radius? Did you get your security protocols going? So no, there's no fundamental shift to AV over IP 2.0. I think it's just us doing what we were supposed to do from jump. We did not have the training. We did not have the understanding. We did not have the knowledge. And our IT leaders were like, guys, ladies, guys, could you stop? Could you stop? Could you stop? And we're just about to stop. I think that's all this is.
Yeah. I was kind of like, at first I kind of did a little head tilt because I was like, did I miss something? Did I miss something?
Wait till 3.0.
Yeah.
Just you wait on plan.
We just can't go incrementing numbers where there's no incrementation, guys. What are we doing?
Oh.
Not even a new compression standard, Rob. Not like a new encoding. Just click bit.
I can't follow that. How do you follow that? It was so well said.
Perfect.
It was almost poetic. It just seemed so obvious, and I'm like, like you said, it's like, wait, what? We should all have read this together and just had us on, and all our heads would be different ways down, sideways, and everything. Like,
I didn't know there were different versions of AV over IP.
People, we have it hard enough. We have to deal with academics and faculty, and just don't throw things out like this and have us scrambling, please.
I feel completely comfortable moving on to the last thing that we discussed. This last one can be found on innovateonthenet.net. Aubrey writes how Martin's Law will make AV a lifesaver. This article, it takes you on a bit of a journey, and but boiling it all down, should AV be involved in security?
Well, I like the idea. We looked at this several years ago in some of our rooms. Even just putting in fire alarms over the PA system, over the house audio with ducking, and insurance people got involved and said no, because once you do, you're liable. Mm-hmm. So you need the legal backing that they're seeing there in the UK to be able to do it and do it right and set up policies and procedures. We have digital signage. It's not run by our group, but the campus police department actually has an override for weather alerts and things like that, if there's a tornado coming or something like that, so they can get to it. Or if there's been a child abduction from our neonatal center, that happens every now and then. Usually it's the nurse didn't push the right button when she took the kid to the parent's room, but sometimes it's a real thing. We've looked at that, and then the security cameras in the hallways, all that, and everything can work together, yes. But from a liability standpoint, you need some legal backing, or you're biting off more than what you meant to as an AV tech. But like I said, I like the idea. I think it's great, especially the way they're doing it here, where everything is involved, and you have a consultant working with you to make it happen. But then you've got to have everything checked out before every event that you do.
I feel like Robin Thicke. I feel like the blurred lines are hitting me, Aaron, and these are these blurring of these lines.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't sue me, music people. So for me, I think the issue I have here is that this is not a capability conversation. This is not just responsibility, because I think Ernie landed on that well, but this is a should we conversation. And I think when we get these blurred lines, we really have to sit in that chair and let's figure out, because there are a ton of things as AV professionals we can, because we have the capabilities for, but I hope we have enough sense and sensibilities to leave the actual marketing up to somebody who understands marketing. But yes, we may run the infrastructure behind it. I'm not sure in this case, and I get that it's almost a company profile that we're looking at as an example, dealing with this thing in the UK. But I'm not sure if this is an AV broad scenario or something that they have hopefully successfully found a niche for their hybridization between AV and security in this case. So AV and AVSec, I guess, which is great. But I just can't help but thinking from my not extensive, I don't want to say limited knowledge of the security sides of things. Have you all ever seen some of those 8K, like security cameras, like bullets or domes or whatever? They're not the same sets of requirements. And a lot of the security field will tell you they've been doing facial recognition, multiple object, like a ton of things using that Dory framework for years. Can we shoehorn our EDTech into it, especially because of, AI being the underpinning to all these things? I'm sure we can. I'm sure we could. But then I come right back to, I'm not sure we should. So that's kind of where I am with it, Rob, which is I'm sure if I was to put you to work with securities, let's just, niche it down to cameras. You come with a wealth of expertise, Rob, in cameras that you could apply to securities. But I'm not too sure you should, because I have so many other things that I need that wealth of expertise for.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So are we minor partners in this? I mean, this is really more legal and security's responsibility to deal with. And maybe if, they ask for a certain ask, maybe we can help, suggest or have them handle it. It's interesting. We were dealing with an integrator that was doing a lot of, higher ed stuff. And then it seemed like their focus went over into security, which was fascinating. But yeah, I agree. I don't think this is our primary responsibility. I think we can have a part in it, but I think public safety, security, if it gets to InfoSec and all those people come together and come up with a framework and that works that we can institute in some of our classroom and environments, I think that's fine. We should not be the primary gatekeeper or responsive unit for this.
I think we can grant access both post to any recordings we may have or anything like that. We can even give access to an override button for our displays, projectors, sound systems, whatever, with the understanding that we're providing you access. We are not guaranteeing delivery.
I think, what comes to mind for the movie nerds, the Nolan trilogy for Batman is I love it or hate it. So I don't want to send the internet into a frenzy here. But I'm thinking, if I have ceiling microphones in all my rooms for VC and whatnot, and you want to come up with some great algorithm that could listen for, God forbid, scenarios that you all have to train for that nobody else in the world does, so figure that out on your own. Those things can be done. Sure, you want to get entry into my Dante network. You want to get entry into that so you can get some outputs, to map some things and use tech to figure out triangulations of where something's coming from, or if there's a security touch point, great. But again, I think Ernie just described it beautifully. These things are points of entry and points of egress that we would understand from the legal teams that you're going to have access to these things. But this comes back to, I think, another central EV question for us, which is why sometimes in higher ed we get in problems. AV is not seen as mission critical sometimes. I think I could make a case for it. But once we start to tread into security, we know it's mission critical. So they either have to figure out in their framework that this is additional inputs, data inputs, parameters. But I'm not too sure even, as you just described, Ernie, if any of those systems should become their primary resource for inputs into their frameworks of security.
Yeah.
We're not to date funded, staffed, I'm speaking broadly here for most schools, funded, staffed, resourced, or structured as a mission critical operation. No matter how much I could make the case. And once you're doing security, once you're doing InfoSec, as you said, Rob, we're now in a different level of, we're almost in the level of aviation, right? We're not waiting to change the oil on the car when we feel like it. We have to change parts on clock, schedule, certification, check. Okay, now you can fly.
Yeah, and so here, let me give you a good example of, how these systems are separate. In many classrooms, you will find that we have our own equipment, our own lighting, our own cameras, and then there will be sometimes that security camera that is so totally separate from our environment. And so, again, to me, we want our students, we want all our staff, all administration to be as safe as possible, but we are not the ones that can deliver that. That is really something that public safety, legal, they are the experts. They are the ones that can look into that, figure out how to use this, how to set systems up. Again, security is typically separate, even though sometimes it it has some aspects that touch IT, but a lot of times, it's a separate system. So with that in mind, yeah, I will say, yeah, I will help. We'll see what we can do, but really, this is your thing, and I trust you and your expertise how to make that happen.
I don't think that I even should add anything to that. Well said.
Madam President, how could you?
Well, alrighty here. And this has been another fantastic episode. Thank you, gentlemen, for discussing all of the things AV. And so if after this episode, anyone wants to get in touch with you, Rob, how might they?
LinkedIn is the best way to get to me. Yes.
And how about you, Ernie?
Same thing. LinkedIn will always find me.
And Lisle, what about you?
6767. I'm on Linked Out. You need to get me. You can get me at 868-683-2442. I'm not crazy. I swear. WhatsApp me, iMessage me, FaceTime audio me. Boom. I'm on Linked Out.
I love it. Very accessible. We're all about accessibility here. So as for me, you can find me on LinkedIn, on the HETMA community, and each month here on AVNation's EdTech podcast that can be found on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find other AVNation podcasts like Women in AV, Career Mastermind, and more. See you next time.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AV Nation.
This is AV Nation.